there. And welcome to Currituck Live Extension. My name is Billy Caudle, and I'm a Currituck County Program Assistant. So on today's episode of Live from Currituck Extension, we're going to cover our community garden. And specifically, we're going to give you an update on a little history about our garden and our future plans. Specifically, we're going to tell you about our new raised beds that we're going to be installing over the winter. So before we begin, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications. That will let you know when we post new videos or when we go live. If you have any questions during our class, please type them in the chat and we'll answer them as we go. If you're watching the recording of this class or this presentation and you have any questions, please email us. Our information can be found in the description below. So when I came to work at Cooperative Extension in June of 2018, my wonderful boss, Sherry Fish, told me about, she made mention of a garden and how she wished that I would work on it to get it cleaned up. So looking around our property, I did not see a garden, but I did agree that it might be a good project if I could just find this garden. Well, I eventually did find it, and it did not look like a garden at all. It actually looked more like just a pile of weeds, and there were a few raised beds and the skeletal remains of a greenhouse with weeds about 3 feet high, as were the beds, about 3 feet high in weeds. And everything had fallen into disrepair because of neglect. However, there was one little bright spot, and that was a single sunflower plant that had grown as a volunteer. And its little face was looking at me saying, help me, please. And so it began. And luckily, I get to work with a lot of kids who help me to tackle projects. And we, over time, this is featured here is one of the kids that helped me when we were first starting to clean out the garden. And we added some raised beds. We got rid of the weeds. We cleaned things up. We redid the greenhouse, and we put up a temporary fence. And did I mention that we pulled weeds? Well, we pulled a lot of weeds, and we still pull a lot of weeds today. So I want to show you a few pictures of our garden over time. This is another young man who helped me planting and cultivating and doing stuff. Now, this is our little greenhouse that was just nothing but sticks, really. And this young lady and I, we resurrected our greenhouse and put new plastic on it and started the fix-up process on that. So here's another person who helped do a lot of stuff over a long time. He was great. And so one of the noticeable projects that we did was install this framework in the middle section of our garden. And the idea for our garden is to use it as a teaching garden where we have classes out there. Of course, we have summer camps and we use it for those. So we needed some picnic tables, and I came across this framework that we were able to get up and put a shade cloth on, and then we had some picnic tables made by our local high school. This created a covered classroom area, which was really transformative because now you have a place to sit at a picnic table, you have a surface to work on, and you're sitting there in the shade, which can be very important in the summertime. In fact, it just turned the garden and our efforts into just a really nice place. And you just kind of want to go eat your lunch out there and that kind of thing. So this was an addition that was really good. This is another picture of, I believe that's fall gardens going in. We also did a potting shed, and this was a couple of kids that were helping build that. We built it from the ground up, as you can see. Here's a picnic table. And this picture was actually taken in January of this year. We had broccoli and kale and cabbage very late this year because we didn't have a whole lot of cold weather. So it was wonderful. Here's some more pictures of students out there doing various projects in the garden under the shade cloth, under the framework, working on the surface of a picnic table there. Another picture here of a class that goes on, or that went on. And you notice in the background of this, you'll see a temporary fence. It's kind of like that snow fencing that was used, they used up north, or a construction thing. But it is green and it looks better than the orange or something that was there. So this is another kid that was helping put a roof on our potting shed. Here he is doing some stuff. So all of our projects pretty much are done with me and with youth, with kids. And so we have a lot of kid power that helps us along. So currently our garden is planted with some fall crops, which include collards, cabbage, and broccoli, and some leaf lettuce. And we're also going to put some cauliflower in as well. And we're constructing a small greenhouse, and we're also fixing up a little bit further our existing greenhouse. So all these will be utilized for starting seeds and for our spring crops, and also growing some decorative plants. So I want to talk a little bit about our big project that we completed, and it was to erect a very nice white picket fence. This came about because of the geese. Now we have a lot of big flocks of geese around here at Cooperative Extension that roam around and eat things, and they love to eat plants. Sadly, the last thing they ate of significance was our Brussels sprouts that we had put in. And when they came up, one day they were there and the next day they were all gone. So we were able to go ahead and get our fence going. And our fence was made possible by this young man here, who is absolutely amazing. He's going to be a multimillionaire one day, owning probably several automotive service stations or something like that. He's a great mechanic, and I look forward to watching him grow up in his future. But he was the brains behind building this fence. And here he is when we put the first post of this fence in. So we noticed we had to pull strings, we had to do some calculations and all that. And he did 95% of all this stuff. So when we were working on this is our progress, and this is how it looked when we were nearing completion. And after we finished, this is what it looks like today, which has been quite transformative, not only for keeping the geese out, but visually it really sets our garden on a little bit higher plane. So we're very happy with that, and we're very happy with the efforts of our young people who really helped us get this project started and stayed with it right through the completion of it. So our next big project is going to be it will be taking place over the winter, probably starting in December. When our garden was built, and I've got another picture here. This is a raised bed garden or box, one of our boxes. And if you notice, it's not very deep. So when the garden was built, the raised beds were made of 2x6 lumber, and they're only 1 board high. Therefore, the depth of the bed is only 6 inches. So we are looking to triple that depth with the replacement of our existing beds with new ones. And they'll be constructed of 6x6 lumber that is 12 to, we'll probably use 14 feet if we can get it. And then it'll be 4 feet wide. And so the beds will be 3 boards high, as they say, which means the total depth of the new beds will be 18 inches. Now imagine trying to grow carrots in dirt that is only this deep. It just doesn't work when your carrots are this long. So our new beds will allow us much more depth and much more soil that we can amend and use compost in and enrich the soil over time. Because of the way they're constructed, you'll be able to sit on the side, which is really great if you're teaching a class or teaching kids about something, or just sitting there weeding and stuff. And so we feel that these will be a lot more conducive for teaching. And when we redo this, we're also going to kind of move the beds. The middle section that we have for teaching with the picnic table is a little bit crowded. So we're going to add a little bit of space there for our classroom space. Now we're modeling our new beds after a really cool program called Growing a Greener World, which is hosted by Joe Lample. I'm a very big fan of their show, and his raised beds in his garden are made this way. So this is what they're going to look like. If you notice that the beds are much, much deeper, and you can see that there's a surface that you can sit on to either work or teach. So that will give you a pretty good visual idea of what our plan is. So as I mentioned before, our project will commence in December and should continue through the winter with a completion target date in late February. And it's no small project. After the boxes are built, they have to be filled with dirt and compost, and that'll take a while, but we'll figure out how to get that done. We're also planning to expand our composting efforts, which will result in a lot more topics for discussion and for teaching and for learning throughout the year. Will also result in better soil that we have in our garden in our raised beds. So we'll have a lot more soil to amend and add to, and we should be producing a lot more organic material to compost. So as time goes on and things progress, we will be able to update you on what's going on with our Currituck Cooperative Extension Community Teaching Garden. So that's all for today's episode of Live from Currituck Extension. And I want to thank you for watching. If you have any questions, we will finish answering those now. I do not see any in the chat. But you can check the description below for the links from our class and our social media sites and our evaluation for today's class. This evaluation helps us to improve our classes and our presentations, and we use your suggestions to create future content. Next week, Sheila Gregory will be presenting story time called Pumpkin Pumpkin. You will not want to miss that. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.